Hollywood might as well be called the Valley of the Hyenas because if you show weakness, they will eat you alive. For years, a con man had been impersonating prominent figures and female Hollywood executives. His scams led him to being able to steal over $1 million from people looking to make it in the entertainment world. Finally, the infamous Hollywood con queen has been captured, and we're gonna break it all down for you right here on IO. But first, make sure you tap that like button to show some love to the channel. Now, without any further delay, let's just get right into today's story. The person who was simply named the con queen of Hollywood finally has a face and name to add to that nefarious job title. In an unsealed court indictment, the suspect was identified as a 41-year-old Indonesian man named Hargo bin Talhi Ramani. The man was arrested in the UK at the request of US officials, according to the Federal Bureau of Investigation. For years, he swindled bright-eyed and bushy-tailed aspiring actors and many more Hollywood types out of hundreds of thousands of dollars. It literally took a global manhunt to find him, and the details of this case were so improbable that it was even optioned for a book deal. An FBI spokesman in San Diego, California told the public, "The defendant has been arrested in the United Kingdom based on a request for his provisional arrest submitted by the United States with a view towards his extradition." Among the people that he had impersonated in these phone calls were Lucasfilm executive Kathleen Kennedy, former Sony movie chief Amy Pascal, and ex-Paramount boss Sherry Lansing. The Daily Mail even exclusively obtained a recording from one of the conversations where the con man can be heard using a high-pitched voice to impersonate Rupert Murdoch's ex-wife Wendy Deng. In the call, he had been heard attempting to lure someone into his elaborate scam. According to media reports, they estimate that between $1.5 to $2 million was taken over the past 5 or 6 years, most of which ended up in the perpetrator's pocket. For years, movie industry professionals received phone calls that they assumed were coming directly from big Hollywood moguls. Each phone call offered them an opportunity to film a blockbuster film in Indonesia. However, once these victims arrived in Jakarta, and after they spent thousands of dollars on fake tour guides and other scam fees, they finally realized that the whole movie that they were in town for was a sham. Even more troubling was what would happen when the targets of his scam calls would complain. Documents obtained by the Daily Mail say that if the targets expressed doubt, the con man would threaten to dismember them. From what authorities have gathered, the scam began as early as 2013 and continued despite global travel being banned due to COVID. Instead, they were asked to shell out more money for non-existent training videos. Even during a pandemic, the con queen was able to keep this scam running. Along with the assistance of private investigators from K2 Integrity, Tahil Ramani was arrested by Manchester police. According to authorities, the man also goes by the name Gopin Lal Tahil and was originally just a suspect in this case. Josh Dean, who is the co-host of the podcast called Chameleon Hollywood Con Queen, revealed the identity of the alleged scammer last month and told the Daily Mail that this con artist may be one of the most prolific of his kind ever identified. After speaking to dozens of victims, Dean said that they know hundreds have been scammed, and they've even been told upwards of 1,000 people have fallen for some version or another of this scam. Typically, the scammer would impersonate up to 3 different people. They would either be an executive, an assistant, and a lawyer all in one call. That's what makes this story so wild. This one guy could switch between impressions seamlessly and even provide reams of fake documents to put his victims at ease. He was such a convincing impersonator that it just seems so legit to these victims. One would think that he could have gotten away with this a few times, but for it to work hundreds of times is just mind-boggling. Imagine what this must have done for his confidence when hopping on these calls. If he had already scammed hundreds of people out of their money, this must have just seemed like easy money to him, which is typically when criminals begin to get lazy and their overly confident bravado leads to them getting caught. Now he faces charges of wire fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy. The Hollywood Reporter also mentioned that Talhi Ramani used a network of unwitting proxies on the ground in Indonesia to help him carry out his instructions to further scam his targets. Around the age of 18, Talhi Ramani came from Jakarta to the United States, where he attended college for 2 years. He studied briefly at a community college in California, taking part in the competitive speech and debate circuit. According to public records, though, he got himself involved into some legal trouble even when he was a student. Tahil Ramani is named in a lawsuit in which he and several other defendants were accused of misappropriation of school funds. Then in 2001, he was also booked on charges of falsifying checks in Las Vegas. Back in Indonesia around 2006, police had arrested him again on charges of embezzlement, and he was even sentenced to several months in prison for his crime. Even while he was in prison, this guy was just up to no good. Again, according to public records, he got a hold of a cell phone, and after making a menacing call to the US Embassy in Jakarta, he was slapped with even more additional time behind bars. Judging by the timeline, his Hollywood scam started right as he was released from prison. Thankfully, he has been captured though, and hopefully this will serve as a warning to anyone looking for a career in Hollywood. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is, so just make sure you do your research. With that though, let's check out some of your comments from the video titled "Nurse Suspended After TikTok Mocking COVID Goes Viral." Andy McKett says, "This is the worst time for you to act stupid and put your main income in jeopardy with people losing jobs left and right." Couldn't have said it better myself, Andy. Wayne Tastic says, "LOL, if even a nurse was making fun of COVID, then humanity truly is doomed." Yeah, it's scary times to be alive, that's for sure. Victoria Parker James says, can't believe it's already COVID-19's 1-year anniversary. Oh no, did we forget it? Did we forget a present already? Do we get COVID a present? Does COVID earn a birthday present? I don't think so. Moving on. Zep Barbie says, from Salem, god damn it, that's so close to me. Rude, LMAO. Hey, at least your town's famous for more than witches now? I don't know. Abigail R says, give me a shout out, you handsome human. Well, you asked nicely, so there you go. But that's been today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. My name has been Johnny Rogers, and until next time, stay classy.